It's Submitting Live with Ty Gay and Chase Hill.
Oh my goodness! Submitting Live podcast. Here we are, Ty and Chase again.
Hello.
Isn't this exciting? Oh man, never gets old.
Episode 4.
It is.
Episode 4. We've actually stuck with it for a minute here. We didn't know how long this project's going to last.
We're still here.
We're still here. So that could be good, could be bad for some of you guys.
It's bad for some of you.
If you're downloading it, though.
Good for me, though.
We like that. But
so what's going on? I haven't seen you all weekend.
I know. I've actually just got back. I was burning up the rubber, and I just got back in time for this. But I was in a wedding this weekend.
Oh, the doctor.
The doctor, yeah, one of my best friends.
Love that dude.
He is in medical school right now. So we're in Oklahoma. So he's in medical school in Tulsa, which is about an hour and a half away from here.
So you drove all the way from Tulsa to get here?
I did.
That's dedication, my friend.
That's dedication. We had a time. I'm on time, and we're here.
That's
so
cool.
we're here, but we were in a wedding. It was pretty cool. They got married at a really cool place called the Glass Chapel in Tulsa. There's a free plug right there. But it was really cool because it makes sense. The whole thing, it's glass, and there's like a really nice scenery of woods behind it and everything. So it looks like you're getting married in the forest, but you're
without
covered.
Without the mosquitoes.
Without the mosquitoes or the rain or whatever.
Oh.
Was there crazy weather here last night? Because it moved up to Tulsa last night.
We're in Edmond, and what's interesting about Edmond is that most of the storms kind of like split right around Edmond, and we don't get too much of it. There's some wind and a little bit of rain, but it's nothing too bad.
Well, just in Oklahoma, we're in Tornado Alley. I mean, we had a movie made here.
We have some of the largest tornadoes on the planet.
I think the largest tornado
in history, right?
The largest tornado on record was here in Oklahoma.
Yeah, it's like several miles wide. Yeah, no big deal. Just a several mile wide. It's really a blender of debris. Think about that. Like a mile or so wide of just, trailers and cows and people and houses and stuff just spinning.
Just spinning.
Yep.
And then
about
you can be lifted
200
up
miles an hour. It's great.
off the ground.
Yeah, it's good for you. Keep you on your toes.
But that was good. So we did that. But they actually had to shut it down early because all those storms were moving. So that was unfortunate.
They were supposed to have some sort of block party out here by my house.
Were they?
Herd on Herd. Yeah, this is off the street called Herd here, and they have this little party that goes on. We were super excited because there's some food trucks, and I saved my cheat day for this day, and I hopped on my bicycle and rode out there to nothing.
Zero.
Yep. So, guess who did not get a fried taco?
It is a little weird season. Normally, tornadoes don't happen in the fall here. Normally, they're in the spring. So that was, it was a little
there's that
weird.
weird thing about the earth warming up, and there's more things going on. I'm not saying that global warming is happening, but
So you're saying
something's going on, isn't it?
You're saying it's flat?
Yes, it's very flat and warm. Different episode.
Yeah.
So,
how was your weekend? What'd you do?
Do you know what's going on tonight? I'm so excited. Do you know? My favorite jiu-jitsu event is going on tonight.
Oh, EBI.
Yes.
EBI tonight.
Oh, my goodness, yeah. So I'm super excited about that. If you don't know what that is, then Google it. Best rule set for jiu-jitsu that's out there.
Is it?
By far.
Is it, do you know what weight class it is? Here, I can look it up. Let me look it up.
I think,
The
don't catch me
benefit of
lying.
having live computer.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about what EBI is for people who maybe don't
EBI
know
is an
jiu-jitsu?
amazing tournament put together by Eddie Bravo. It's the EBI or Eddie Bravo Invitational. And it's amazing because there's no points. Oh yeah, it's the lightweights, 155.
It's the lightweights, and then the welterweights, the 170s. They're doing combat jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. So, but the cool thing is there's like there's no points, so everybody's just going for submissions, trying to make the other person say uncle. For those of you that don't know what jiu-jitsu is, we're just trying to make the other person tap out, basically say I give up. And so if nobody at the end of the time, if nobody wins, nobody taps the other person out, then it goes into kind of like a sudden death, but it's where they flip a coin and one guy gets to pick either arm lock position or the back. And then it's whoever gets out the fastest or gets the fastest submission. They both get to try. And so I think it's really, really cool because it forces guys at the very end to be in a really bad position to either get out or prevent the submission. And before that, you're not worried about rules. So you're not worried about if you get flipped over or whatever and losing a few points or an advantage. I think advantage is a really have kind of hurt jiu-jitsu. You know, there's the IBJJF, which is International Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation, which has plenty of good things about it. I'm not trying to talk smack on it, but I just believe that they've put so many rules on it for so long that it's really kind of, you know, it's changed the sport. It's limiting. It's very limiting. I like reaping the leg when I'm in the gi. I think they should heel hook in the gi. For those that don't know, this is a leg attack that has been kind of taken out of gi competition. The gi is just the pajamas that you wear when you're fighting each other in jiu-jitsu.
You know, I would like to see, and there are some tournaments that have adopted the EBI rules, and they will do it in the gi.
Yes.
I would actually like an official EBI promotion
Right.
to do it in the gi. But I know that's Eddie Bravo's thing is it's all no gi.
Well,
and
I think
that's his
that's-
school. But that would be really cool if he could find the best gi guys.
It's coming.
And
I guarantee it.
I mean, that would be awesome because there are so many other attacks. It could open
Yeah.
up, you know, that, and everyone complains, you know, I'm more of a traditional jiu-jitsu guy. I've trained gi and no gi, but I think there are so many cool submissions in the gi, but it does require more education because if you don't know the guy that's gripping, it could look like that the guy's either stalling or why is he grabbing his clothes? Like, you know, if you're not a jiu-jitsu person,
Right.
which I think is what Eddie Bravo's market was, he was trying to capture was maybe people who weren't as interested in
Right.
just pure jiu-jitsu. Like, hey, you can watch these guys grapple. There's no gi, so they don't have to
Yeah.
grab clothes. It doesn't slow it down, and they can still choke each other, break each other's arms.
Right. It's faster, more
It's
action.
faster.
Yeah.
But I would think it would be beautiful to watch bow and arrow chokes from the back or
Right.
something like that that could be done from that rule set.
No, I agree. I think
would
it's
be-
coming. Some people, like you said, are adopting that even for the gi, which, I mean, we'll just see the evolution of it. They're also doing something called combat jiu-jitsu where they're allowing like open hand strikes in jiu-jitsu, which is really the most original form of jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu was originally designed with strikes. So it's pretty cool to watch that. It opens up a whole different set of positions and setups for submissions. So I think that is a really cool aspect of the EBI tournament. It's like a separate little tournament inside of a tournament, which is really cool. I like that a lot.
So are you gonna watch it tonight?
I am. You know,
I think you can find it on EBI. Just
And
go to
Fight Pass, too.
just Google EBI and you can download it there. Or if you have a UFC Fight Pass account, I believe it's
yep.
free.
It's great.
Through
Yep.
there through that subscription.
I'm thinking about using our projector and putting it on the wall because the projector's here. Jeff's projector.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Jeff Lohman.
Yeah. There's your
One of my
plug.
students, his projector's up here. We shine it on our wall. It makes a TV the size of my school.
It actually works really well. Like
It's really good.
We found that by accident. We were watching some fights and we had a projector screen and we missed the projector screen and we shot it on the wall
On accident.
and then we were like, hey,
We're like, wait a minute.
that's a way better idea. And so
How many ideas have happened like that? A lot.
probably a lot.
Cool. So
What other anything
other
else you've
things
done
are-
this weekend or?
it was Jennifer's, my fiance's birthday.
Yes.
Speaking of which, I'm getting married on Halloween.
Ooh, so you're announcing it now.
I am announcing it, I guess.
Get married on Halloween.
I am. And this is like, we've been trying to get married for almost 3 years, and it's bittersweet. I've gotten amazing tours all 3 years in a row, which kind of overlapped over our wedding. And she's so awesome. She's always like, no, just go. We'll postpone it, do it next year. Well, this is the third year of that. And so now I want to just make this happen before she gets so sick of me she doesn't want to be around me anymore.
So you're trying to lock her in.
Just lock her
Lock
into the
her in.
commitment, you know? And I mean, have you seen her food? Oh my goodness. If you haven't followed Jiu-Jitsu Jen, you should do it. If for nothing else, just for the food that she posts pictures of. And she makes a lot more food than that, ladies and gentlemen. I would probably be a 300-pound man if it wasn't for her. And not the good kind of 300 pounds either, you know what I'm saying?
Not like the chiseled,
Nope.
rock solid
More
300
like the
pound
ball kind that sits on the couch with his potato chips.
eating Twinkies and
Correct.
Hellos.
Whatever I can. So, but anyway,
So it was her
getting
birthday?
married to her. Her birthday happened on the 20th, so we had a little birthday thing. We went skating. That was cool. There was a bunch of little kids there. I got to
Like
throw
roller
into the wall.
roller skating?
Yeah, roller skating.
When's the last time you went roller skating?
A few years ago. She makes me go about every 3 years.
So
or
she
whatever.
enjoys. She likes going and doing
she can,
it.
She can skate like
Really?
crazy. Yeah, I just go really to push kids around, feel like a big man. You know, that's really my only thing.
You don't do that enough at your jiu-jitsu school.
You know, you guys see it coming. Those kids are like, I swing up behind them, boom, push them down. I'm like, oh, sorry. No, I really don't do that. I just fall on them because it's much easier to fall on them than the hard floor. When you get old, you don't want to hit the hard floor as much as you would rather fall on a child.
That's why you have break falls, though.
Yeah, you know.
Slap falls. Are you the guy that...
Children's tears are magical. I'm just saying. There's something to be
Are
learned
you
from
the
that.
guy that skates with the walker? You know that
No, but I
rolls?
thought about using it as a wedge. You know what I'm saying? Just
Just
plowing through
knock
it.
people over.
But they kept telling me that I couldn't do that, and there's something about throwing me out, but whatever. So
that's coming. So that's going to be in a couple weeks.
correct.
So you'll
it
talk
is
about
coming
that,
up, yeah.
about how that's going to work.
We have some pretty cool outfits for that. I'll post pictures
Post
on
pictures of
Instagram.
that. Maybe you can have her on to talk about it.
Yeah.
That'd be
Well,
cool.
I need to have her on to talk about her shijitsu movement and the real men empower women movement. There's some cool things.
we
going
plan.
with that.
We have plans to have more guests on too. I know we talk about
are.
that every podcast, and eventually we will have one.
We're just having a few of these just to kind of, get
content
the
out.
gears working, start the thing, and then
We're really just going to build up your hopes and then crush them.
and then we're gonna have no one on, and we're just gonna quit.
I'm not going to. Ooh, sorry.
So you better be.
I'm sorry about that.
So yeah. So some people ask some questions about
Some topics.
some topics and stuff, and we do this every podcast. I'll post something on my Facebook about, hey, give me some topics to talk about, and I'll pick a few. So we've got a couple of the three.
We had a lot of topics. We had like 65 people submit something. So
Yeah, and I can't cover all of them. Like we were in the first one, I think we're going through almost all of them, which was fun. But
and here's the other thing too. If you are a new listener to this podcast, or if you posted a previous question, we have other episodes that I know some of those questions, we've addressed those questions
Correct.
in other episodes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if you want to go back and listen to them, and we would really appreciate the extra downloads. So go listen to other episodes.
if you do download it, go to the place that you downloaded it from and leave a little comment.
please,
right?
5 stars.
5 stars,
Of
6
course.
stars, all the stars,
There is.
throwing stars. Wait, wrong group. Okay, so yeah.
talk
So
about
what
that
are some of those questions? We'll answer them now to
Yes.
the best of our abilities.
So someone asked you, well, I guess us, music while rolling. Do you listen to music while rolling, and does it affect how you train? Like, do you train faster if the beats are faster, or do you slow it down if the music is slower?
Nope,
whenever
I
you're
hate
training or
music. We
rolling?
turn all music off all the time. Just silence, just complete silence.
Only if people gargling whenever you're choking.
No, we do listen to music a lot.
Yeah, we
of course,
do.
I'm a musician, and yes, it does affect me. In fact, I almost didn't want to answer this question because all my guys are going to be able to now pick my game apart, because here's how it works. Like, I love listening to dubstep or rock or whatever. Like, for example, there's a band called Avatar. Oh man, I love that band. When they start playing, there's a part like we consider to be the drop of the song when it kicks in. And if I'm rolling with somebody, I'm telling my secrets right now, but whenever it happens, boom, it's go time for me. I'm moving 1,000 miles an hour. So if they could get prepared to stop me right before the drop, that would be your best bet. And then, it's just balls to the wall.
So what you're saying is
Love it.
is if we're fighting against you, we need to be able to listen to all the songs.
Listen, think about
And then,
the beat.
and then whenever we hear it,
Yeah.
We'll be like, okay.
I will literally move to the beat sometimes. And if it's like a super fast, like speed metal song, you better watch out. Watch out. Yep. But yes, so I listen to music a lot. It does affect me. I also like listening to like Bass Nectar and stuff like that too. You can't always listen to like Meshuggah while rolling, or you're gonna kill all your friends.
Yeah.
So you gotta create a playlist where there's ebb and flow and it goes back and forth.
and
between some trends.
Also, at our academy, it's pretty family friendly. So a lot of times we have to be respectful of other people, what they like music. So we try to make sure that there are certain.
I just try to make sure there's not cussing in there, right?
Yeah, some
I just
people-
think that in an environment like we have here, just to keep the cussing out is a good thing. There's plenty of songs that don't have curse words in there, and so that's basically my only stipulation, other than no country music. Absolutely, positively.
Which really disappoints me because I like country music.
No,
yeah.
you're talking about making my jiu-jitsu game turn to crap. See, there's another secret right there. Just come into the school,
Play country
somehow
music.
take over the stereo and play country, guaranteed to beat me right there. I might even just throw up and leave.
You'd be so disappointed that
My disappointment alone would submit me. Just kidding. I have a lot of good country western friends. I have Vince Gill's guitar. I'm friends with a lot of good country people. We're in Oklahoma.
Doesn't mean you don't respect them as artists. You just don't prefer the music.
Correct. I just hate their music. Yes. Is that too much? Yes, it's too early. No.
It's all right. We can edit.
Great.
We can edit it out.
That's only one energy drink worth. You're lucky.
If it was 2, would you be going off on country music?
Lord, right now we would be discussing the difference between new country and bluegrass and how much bluegrass was better. All right, moving on. So, what's the next question?
The next one is if you're an instructor in jiu-jitsu, do you think that makes your jiu-jitsu just better overall? Like, does it make your game better? Do you learn better? Or do you think just being a pure student, because maybe you're too much worried about teaching, you don't get to learn enough for yourself? So, like, what is your thoughts on being an instructor? Do you think that overall helps your game?
Since you are one of my instructors that I taught how to be an instructor, I want you to answer it. What do you think? On the spot.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think being an instructor has helped my overall jiu-jitsu and there's a lot of reasons for that, but I think it just makes you understand the techniques deeper. So you really understand maybe how to modify them, because there could be a way that maybe you show the technique or something that's great for you, but especially if you're an instructor and you learn how to really dive into it, you may know a way to teach it, but then for you may have to modify it and everything, but you have to really understand the technique to be able to do that. If sometimes, not saying there aren't really dedicated students that can't just learn it if they're just students, I'm not saying that, but just being an instructor, it almost requires you to learn it on an in-depth level if you want to be a good instructor.
Right.
And so I consider myself a decent instructor. I've been doing it for 6.5 years now, so I feel like I've had a lot of practice at it. So understanding it, I just enjoy it for that.
Right. I totally, obviously agree. And even at my academy, we teach even the student, just if they're not an instructor and they're not ever going to be an instructor, we still even teach the student how to still be kind of a teacher, because in our basics class, we're doing a good guy and a bad guy role, basically. And we're always talking about, give feedback, ask questions, and go slow and help each other, this mantra that we have. And this creates an environment to where they're always checking each other's moves and they're always helping each other grow. And so I think this is really, really important. So in answer to that question, yes, being a teacher or teaching at all makes whatever you're teaching better, right? So if I was a mechanic and I had to go teach somebody how to be a mechanic, I would instantly become a better mechanic. That's just how it works. That's just how it works.
You get more reputation.
Yeah, more reps.
More reps,
and you get more time, like you said, going deep into the move. And also, you have to pay attention to the anomalies that pop up. What are the most common mistakes that people start to have? You start to notice these more, so you draw more attention to that right in the beginning, as opposed to seeing it happen later on in the group. So teaching allows you to see these little pitfalls along the way, and allows you to see kind of like when I first started teaching our basics program, when we were teaching like Gracie combatives and stuff like that, it allowed me to get in there and really work with these moves. But I've been doing it for so many years now that you would think I should know it all and not be getting anything out of it. I've done jiu-jitsu for almost 1 year. And every time I teach a basics class, and maybe it's because my brain I want this to happen, but I find like little bitty pieces that I never saw before. Even if I'm not talking about it with the students or whatever else, I can see little details that was never seen before because of me having to teach it repetitively so much. So yes, I think there's huge value in teaching.
What do you think about some of the people that think that if you're an instructor, like this is one thing that I've heard some online articles, jiu-jitsu forums, they'll say that if they spend too much time being an instructor, they don't get to teach for themselves. They don't get enough time for themselves.
Well, I think that's a problem that does happen a lot of times with instructors who are trying to run their own school and stuff like that.
Because they don't have a higher instructor in their school. Maybe they are the highest rank or the highest.
So there's a way to fix that. You have to set aside time for yourself to train.
Yeah.
I do that specifically. I have specific times where I'll get just a friend. I'll call you or with Austin or Tyler Shin or one of these guys, and we'll come up here and we'll just drill. And I'll do a move for, I don't know, I could do it for as little as 30 minutes just consecutively, or as long as 4.5, 5 hours.
Just depends on whenever you can find time.
Just depends on what my time is like and what's going on. But those little things like that are really important for me time to take care of myself.
Here's a good thing for that I think is kind of going to piggyback off that, because I can tell this too because you did this with me. But I think if you're, let's say you're a blue belt or you're a purple belt and you just started a school, how do you build a valuable like training partner to even like can you improve yourself with only white belt students? Because this is something you can talk about, because whenever I came to you were a brown belt and you had probably 90 to 95% of your students were white belts.
Right.
So how did you get a sufficient training for yourself to make it feel like you didn't have someone who could push you, or you didn't have someone who could, I think you maybe had one, you had Carl. He was about the only person that could really give you what you wanted, because everyone else you had to be too nice to, almost, or quote unquote. But how do you have that
that's a
delicate
good
balance?
question, and I've been asked that quite a bit. So you don't have to be training with guys who are a lot better or higher ranked than you all the time to get better. But you do have to be smart and intellectually honest with yourself. And I think that's the problem. The real problem is that. So, for example, I need to put myself with a white belt. I need to put myself as deep into the fire as I can possibly get, all the way to getting submitted. Find the spot where I can't get out and get the submission, so they're submitting me, and then work my way backwards. And then keep that close to the edge with those people. So it's like when you roll with kids, how can you get anything out of rolling with a kid? Well, you learn how to put your weight in a different spot. I equate it to keeping a bowl. The weight of a bowl right side up is smashing an adult, right? So the center is on an adult and smashing them. But when you flip a bowl upside down, the perimeter of the bowl is where the weight is, and that's keeping the weight off of somebody like a kid. And when you're keeping your weight off of a kid and your strength, you're keeping your strength in your back pocket and your flexibility and everything else, it allows you to work just purely on technique. So I've gotten a lot of great jiu-jitsu gains out of just training with children or girls. And when you're training with white belts, it depends on the body style of the white belt. So I've got one guy, Brandon Lopez, he's a really tall dude, and he's a 400-pound plus dude. And so I can't use the same amount of moves that I would use on a smaller person, but I can utilize him for what he's really good for. He's a really big smasher. I mean, he's gonna get on top and smash the crap out of you if you don't do the right things. So it allows me to work in different spaces. So being intellectually honest with yourself and putting yourself in those bad positions with lower ranking people is how you grow and get better. Here's how you don't get better. You just kick the crap out of the white belts and use your favorite moves on them all the time.
Yes.
Boom, boom,
and then you
boom,
don't
boom,
show
boom.
them, and you don't show them
how to get out or how to do it or anything else. Yeah, this is a common problem, I think, with martial artists, because we talk about always getting rid of the ego and all this kinds of stuff, but sometimes if you're not really aware of trying to do that and be aware of the ego, you grow the ego, and that makes it kind of paints you into a corner. You always want to be tapped. You want to let people tap you, and you want to put yourself in the fire.
You know who we had him come in for a seminar. I was a white belt still, but you're a brown belt, so maybe you got more out of it than I did. But I remember someone asked. We had Marcelo Garcia come in for a seminar, and someone asked him, because this was like he came in 2000 and I think it was like 2009, 2010. He was like he was still competing. He was at like the peak of his competing, and someone asked him, "Who do you train with to make yourself better?" And I remember Marcelo just looked and goes, "My students."
Yeah.
And he didn't have a world. I mean, now he has Dylan Dennis and he has Garoppolo. I don't know how to say his name.
Dennis isn't even there anymore.
Yeah, but I mean, he's created all these.
Sure.
He's created all these monsters now. Yeah. But back then he didn't. He just had his students. He was like, most of my students are blue, purple belts.
Right.
He's like, I have a couple brown belts, and he was like, I don't train with anyone else but my students.
Yeah.
He goes, some occasionally people will pop into my school and come in and train with me, but he's not going out and like leaving outside of his academy to go train, which I thought was. I mean, if Marcelo Garcia, I mean, I know not everyone's Marcelo, but still, he took that humble approach as I'm just going to train my students.
Done. I mean, that's the way that anybody really does it. I say that. There's some other guys out there that get a lot out of just going to these super high-end guys and getting underneath them, letting them smash them, and there's great validity in that. Anytime you can find somebody that can kick the crap out of you, do it.
Yes. But
you don't have to have that all the time to get better.
I don't think you just have to go out and find, like, you don't have to like seek that when you have willing training partners at your own academy. You don't have to neglect those people to go find someone. But I think there's a lot of people that get caught up in that. Like they want to find someone who's always bigger, better.
I agree.
There always will be. But
next topic. Hey, do we have anything that's not jiu-jitsu oriented? I'm so sorry.
Yes,
I'm always jiu-jitsu all the time.
That's just how we are, man.
I like to choke and arm
Well,
lock,
eventually,
leg lock people.
I think too, when we have maybe a guest on that's not as jiu-jitsu related, that we'll get.
I know. And yeah, I need to work on that. I'm going to have
we
Roy
got a
Dean
couple.
come in, and Roy Dean's going to be all over the place jiu-jitsu. At least we can talk about our song.
He's got other experiences
Yeah,
besides
he's-
jiu-jitsu. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like I talked about in the last podcast. We're actually working on a like a Nine Inch Nails sounding
Like a
type song.
remix of a song.
Yeah, he wrote this song, and then he's letting me come in and kind of redo some stuff, and this should be pretty cool. We'll see.
All right. Well, on the next topic that someone asked us is just your music story, just in the sense of
Okay, well-
how it kind of got started and how mainly how Everybody Panic got started. So you
Pretty
have to
much
give a
an
little bit of
overnight
a
success.
background. Yeah, right.
Nothing is an overnight success ever. Brad's giving me the lights.
It's all right.
Yeah. So, well, I started off. We'll talk about it on another podcast. But I was a severe dyslexic, and when you have dyslexia, you have some problems that come up with like math and reading and writing and pretty much everything that's important. But I had a knack for musical instruments. My grandfather also had this same knack, and he sang in church and stuff. And so I kind of got my musical bug from my grandfather, I would say, and tried to play around on every instrument that I could get my hands on. And I can dabble in almost any instrument. If you set an instrument in front of me and give me about 24 hours, regardless of what it is, I'll make a song with it. So it won't be a good song, but I'll make one. And so that was kind of where I started music, whatever. And then I got into playing the drums, and I saved up all my lunch money one year at high school and bought me a drum set and just starved at lunch. Bought a drum set and then played drums in bars with bands before I was able to get in. My dad would have to come and sit there with me because I was playing in a bar full of drunks.
How old were you?
13.
13.
Yeah. And then, so fast forward, I get into some bands in Oklahoma City and just basically move into my car and start playing drums out of this I had like a Subaru station wagon looking thing. I kept my drums in, I'd stay at my practice place and other things. So did that for a long time. And then, I was creating a band and we couldn't find a singer. We were just looking for singers. And I was singing backup at the time, and I knew all of the good drummers because I was a drummer. So that's when I started singing, and that was my 21st birthday. I started singing on my 21st birthday, and I was awful. I mean, it was the most awful. When you hear yourself on the answering machine and you're like, oh my God, that's my voice? That's
not
horrible.
how my voice sounds.
That was exactly how it was for me, and it was awful. I was singing in a different key than the song and thought it was the right one. So that's not good. So anyway, did that for a while, started with a band singing called Cellophane, and had to change that name because there was another band that sent us a cease and desist. So we changed the name from Cellophane to Lure, Lure. And I toured in the band Lure and recorded a bunch of records with them, but really was still kind of a local band. Even though we did some touring around the United States, it was all touring by ourselves. We never had a label. We never had any kind of support. And I did that for almost 10 years or so. And then that kind of fell apart. And I did an acoustic thing called Animal Movement, just to have something going on. And then I contacted this guy named Provo Provenzano. He was in a band called Ricketts, and they broke up, and he joined a band called Skin Lab. And so I hit him up. I was like, hey, man, if you know of any bands, I'm a singer looking for a band. And he sent me a couple of tracks. It was like, hey, I was working on this before my band broke up. And so, which one of those songs is When It All Burns. It's off our first song on our first record. And so I heard that and thought, man, this is a really cool song. So I was living in this little garage apartment at the time. I went out to this little shed behind the garage apartment, was writing these lyrics. It was so hot. It was that summer where it was like melting light poles. It was like 100 degrees for a month or so. It was crazy.
It was hot.
So it was really, really hot. I also had a back injury, so I was nursing this back injury and out there just trying to write all this stuff. While writing this song, When It All Burns, my house burned down. Yeah. Kind of funny.
Wow.
But
not really.
Funnier now, I guess.
Yeah.
And so it's not the fire that really destroyed everything. It was the smoke mixed with when the firefighter kicked open the little garage apartment window and filled my whole apartment full of water. That was fun. So I started over with everything at that point, but we did get a good song out of that. So I guess we'll chalk that up to the musical gods for that's what they needed for a good song. So I did that. We had our first show. It was at the end of the world.
It was
that thing.
It was December 12th of
2012.
It was 12/12/12, right?
Right? I think so, yeah.
Is that what it
It's
was?
the end of the world.
12/12?
It's supposed to be the Mayan calendar end date or whatever.
Yeah.
And we had already started producing T-shirts at this point and sold a lot.
You sold...
My band's called Everybody Panic, so the logo is, you can like it without actually liking the band.
I went to your first show, and it was really full. I mean, it wasn't a huge venue, but I mean, there was a couple hundred...
There was like almost 1,000 people.
There was 1,000 people there.
There was 1,000 people there was 960 something that had paid, and then I'm sure that we had let a few in, so there was 1,000.
Well, I'm sure it was cool because both you and really Provo are the two main people. You guys had already been in previous bands, and people had followed you, so people kind of were like, oh, now they're teaming up.
Right.
So that was cool.
We built a little hype, and then did that. So we played that show as our first show, sold out. So that was an amazing honor. We just, because Oklahoma... We have a lot of just amazing fans here. And if you have an Oklahoma fan, I mean, they're down.
Loyal.
Once they're down, they are down.
Yeah.
And so that's our base, And so we have one more show that we sold out. And then our third show, I believe is the third show, we got an opportunity to open up for Deftones in Oklahoma City. We were the direct support. No other band playing the show except for us. Mm-hmm. It was us and then them. And so we played that, and there was an A&R rep there.
As your third show?
It's our third show.
It's pretty good. That's pretty fortunate.
So there was an A&R rep there for Cavi Gold Records, and they signed us. So we got signed on our third show. Now you hear that, and you're like, oh, they got signed on the third show.
Instant success.
Overnight success, like I said, right? But you just remember, 13 in the bars with my dad, blah, 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 all the way, trying my ass off all the way till 2012, into the world.
Well, same thing with Provo and everything too. He had been on all these other projects and everything too,
Mm-hmm. So and even being signed doesn't mean we made it. Now I'm a millionaire and everything's great. I mean, things aren't bad, but I'm not flying around in a private jet or anything. So anyway, so we got that deal. That was great. Cavi Gold Records is amazing. It was a very small group, and the industry has changed. So it was like they were doing some real interesting out of the box things with us, which is pretty cool. Then I was able to meet this guy named Zoltan Bathory, who is the guitar player for Five Finger Death Punch. And he came through, played at Cat Fest here in Oklahoma City. And my buddy Jake Daniels, who's the program director at the Cat, was like, hey, man, do you want to come back here and do a meet and greet? I'm like, heck yeah. And I had on a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu t-shirt. Well, Zoltan is a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu at the time blue belt. Mm-hmm. And so he saw my shirt and was like, when you see a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu guy.
Yeah, you're brothers.
Yeah,
we talked about this
friends.
on another podcast.
And so we exchanged numbers, information, and stuff there and became friends. And then I saw he was coming to Tulsa to play this show at the Diamond Ballroom in Tulsa. And so not the Diamond Ballroom, what was it?
No, not in Tulsa. It was a theater.
It was a big theater, but the Brady Theater.
The Brady Theater.
Yeah, Brady Theater.
There's a theater in Tulsa.
Yeah. So I go there. And I'm looking for, so I get the gig. I ask him, hey, can I open up the show for you? And he didn't actually say anything back. And then I had David Fitzgerald, which is like one of those promoters guys, call me up and was like, I don't know what you did, but you're on this show. Congratulations.
What didn't one band, like they couldn't make it or something like that? One band dropped
off or got kicked off.
Yeah.
Something weird was going on.
So it was lucky. You got
very lucky. And so they're like, yeah, cool, come open up the show. Great. So I get there and they have this thing called the Five Finger Death Punch Dojo. And so they do some training there before the show, after the show. And so I wanted to get on some of that. So I walk in there and I hadn't talked to anybody, so I'm going to check and test the security to see who's doing what. So I just walk right through like I own the place and looking around trying to find a spot. So I eventually find the Five Finger Death Punch Dojo. And so I get in there and I kind of drop my bag off there and start walking around. Well, eventually, the head of security, John Simons, finds me because I was wandering around in places I shouldn't have been. Anyway, and he's a great dude, black belt, amazing guy under the Camarillo brothers who travels with them. But anyway, got to meet them. Long story short, got there and went and did some training with them a little bit. And Zoltan had never heard my band at this point. He just was kind of doing a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu brother a favor, right? So I'm training with them. My band is in a different part of the venue. So they're stuck off in band land. I'm up here in this weird, it's like upstairs over the stage training area.
Get to rolling and training.
Yeah, so we're training, and my band is calling me because there's a special time we have to be on stage, right? And you have to be on stage at that time. our set is on a click, so it's perfect every time. And I told the guys, listen, you just start the thing. I'm gonna be there. I won't not be there. Just trust me. So it's like 5 minutes before it's supposed to go on. I'm still training with Zoltan and his guys up there, and my phone is blowing up, just blowing up. And you can hear like the music getting ready to come on for my set, you know. And so I was like, all right, I gotta get down there and do this thing. So I heard the intro music for my set. I told Zoltan, hey, I gotta go play real quick. Give us a listen. Tell us what you think. My band is completely willing to go on tour with you. We have all of our gear in the trailer and our van at the time. We didn't have a bus then. Our van is out there and we're packed up, ready to go. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. So I run downstairs. I put my stage clothes on and barely make it onto stage right in time for everything to kick in. Luckily, my band believes in me enough. They were all just in position. They just knew I would be there. And they later on told me that they didn't actually know that. They were just really hopeful. They were like, we're just going to start playing. And so we played. And then as soon as the set was in, by the way, it was one of the most amazing experiences of my life. There was 5,000 or so people in the audience.
So this is, you hadn't played in front of that many people ever.
No.
And
well, I have some festivals and stuff, but never a show like that.
Like in a theater, though, where everyone is there to see one.
It was just a mind-bending experience. And after it was over, I run backstage. I grab my backpack that's got all my stuff in it. I run back upstairs.
Start training.
Shower off, change into my gig again, and walk into the room. And they're still training in there. And they were like, hey, we listened to your set, came out and watched it a little bit. And it was really cool. And so we slapped and bumped, rolled around a little bit more. And then
he had to play his show.
He was getting ready to play his show and stuff. And before they went on, the band and their tour manager came up to me and was like, so I heard you guys could go on tour. You could leave right now? We're like, 100%. So you're saying you could leave right now? Yes. There's no problems with leaving. You could leave now and just go on the road with us, open up every show the rest of the tour. Yes. And so he was like, congratulations, you're on the tour. One of the greatest experiences in my whole rock and jiu-jitsu career happened right there. And so they took us out with them for like, it was
3 weeks
them,
or
Miss May
like
I, and Gemini Syndrome, and we got to play the rest of the tour out with them, and it was one of the greatest experiences ever, and really got my feet wet in the music industry, and really helped us musically get our foot in the door with a bunch of other things too. So super thankful to Zoltan and to the guys in Five Finger Death Punch for making that happen. It was really, really great. And now, since then, I've got to do just crazy, amazing things. And
you guys have toured and
toured like 130-something 7 days out of the last year. So it was pretty extensive touring.
Yeah. And
we've moved up. We're not in a van anymore. We have a bus and a trailer and sometimes a driver. So sometimes the driver's me, but whatever. I get to listen to Joe Rogan's podcast more when I'm driving. So, and now I guess ours. Perfect.
Yeah, there we go.
So,
a good story.
I also started a thing in this process called Rock Jitsu, and the reason was basically for this because me and Zoltan got together, and it was a connection, and it was through rock and roll and jiu-jitsu. And then I was also able to meet several other rock stars. Billy from Biohazard, also in a band called now Power Flow. They're taking over right now. He's also a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu black belt and also one of the founding fathers of rock jitsu. So me, him, and Matt Heafy. Matt Heafy is in a band called Trivium. They have a new album that's out. It's awesome. So, we're just building a little group of like-minded individuals in the rock community that actually do jiu-jitsu also. And we're wanting to take our superpowers and use them for good and for charity purposes and stuff like that. So look for the future for a rock jitsu tour or festival or show or something awesome. We would like to do a deal where in the beginning of the day you have like a couple different tickets. You could get one ticket where you just come see the show and see all these bands perform that are also into jiu-jitsu but have a big live show. Or you could buy the super ticket where you get to come train with these guys. They get to teach a seminar, show you their favorite moves, and then you get to come to the show and get some extra cool swag or whatever. And all the money from the actual seminar part where we're teaching jiu-jitsu is going to go to some sort of a charity. Now, granted, the other part of the money has to pay for the show. The shows are expensive. All those lights and paying for Billy's food, all of his avocados. That dude eats a lot of avocados. I'm just kidding. I do too. It's an obsession and an addiction.
It's good though.
It's okay. So that's kind of one of the things that has come about through that too, and it's just one of the ways that we can kind of give back I think that's pretty cool. So, yeah, I think that the next year is going to be the biggest year for Everybody Panic. So if you haven't went and checked out
Awesome.
all my
New music
stuff,
New
please
music
do.
is recording.
We're recording right now with Darth Mater, Logan Mater right now. He's an amazing producer, engineer guy. And so, yeah, I'm super stoked. It's by far the best writing that we've ever had on a record. Yeah, and having people breathe down my neck over all this stuff is a little bit intimidating, but it was the best thing for me. Having people just really nitpick everything I'm doing musically has been really great. So, yeah, I can't wait.
You want to wrap this thing up? We're getting the flashing signs.
We are
Getting the cane.
Yeah, I'm also feel like I'm getting ready to seizure my energy drink. I only had one. It's wearing off, and I'm freaking out.
Oh no. Oh no. All right, what plugs we got? Find us on YouTube.
Find us on YouTube.
We're gonna put up a video. We're doing a new video this time, so we'll see kind of how it looks.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. We've got a lot of new stuff coming up. A lot of new
curriculum.
curriculum's
Look out for the Red Line curriculum.
Yep,
Coming
coming your way
very
very soon, and a lot more. Just we're going to try to interact more. I'm gonna, I do a lot of live videos, but we're going to be doing a lot of vlogs and just different little snippets. If you guys have any ideas, questions, or comments, additives or design ideas, please send them our way. And if you fan art, if you want to send us some fan art, we love that stuff. We've been talking more about that, and if you do send us fan art and give us your the go ahead to use it, we'll make stuff with it, and we're also going to put your name on who's done it. We want you to get props for that kind of stuff too, credit for it, and then we'll send you some of the merchandise that we use if we use your stuff. So yeah. We appreciate each and every one of you.
Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Submitting Life Podcast. You can follow mine, Chasen Hill, and then also Ty Gay, GJJ.
Ty Gay, GJJ at everything, Twitter and Instagrams. And
like us on
cool
Facebook.
stuff.
We each have a personal Facebook, so you can friend us. We'll add you, and then like the podcast page. So, what other plugs we got? Is that it?
Just don't forget. It's coming quickly. Death, it's on its way.
Here's your last plug.
If you don't know death's coming, then you're a fool. It's coming for all of us. It's the only thing we can't escape. So please, whatever you want to do in this life, start now. Don't think about the things that are in the way between you and your goal. Just think about the goal. That's it. Peace.
See ya.